Olafsson's had some good news.
I went to the hospital last night and have a check with a specialist, heart specialist. And he said to me that was not the heart, it's a muscular in the chest.
Excellent news for Torfi, but frustration as well. The contest continues now, and this 15-kilogram barrel must be thrown over the wall for the greatest height.
I feel like I'm going to have a pretty good go, and I need it at this point, because even though two competitors have fallen out, I've yet to really prove myself, I think. So I would like to have an event to give me a little confidence to go into the finals.
You must have thought a lot about it after yesterday. What went through your mind?
I've been arm wrestling a lot for the latest 5-6 years, and I never broke anybody's arm before. I know someday it might happen. Sorry for Nathan, but there's nothing I can do about it. The only thing I can do now is compete.
And that's exactly what he and Phil must do, according to the judges, to arrive in the final, having taken part in as many events as the rest of the qualifiers. So here we go with 550, and it was way, way over. A gentle opener, and it was easy. Magnus watching and learning all the time. This, the same height, just over 18 feet. Big long swing, and there it goes. That was an even better effort than Phil Martin. Dougie Edmonds just checking the wall on its way up to 5.75 meters now for Phil Martin. And if any of you are off down to the pub later, please don't try this. So Phil there, just one swing, and he gets it. Looking nice and relaxed. Magnus next. There's a few shockwaves still surrounding events yesterday, but this is a much more laid-back atmosphere. And certainly Magnus Samuelsson turning out to be a very intense competitor in everything he does. There's lots of talent wrapped up in a superb physique. Ooh, only just. Tristan willing it over the wall. The wall getting higher and higher. So now there's no margin for error whatsoever. Oh, and Dave Webster, one of our judges, just announcing that it's 6 meters for another world record. Just getting rid of the excess sand. I'm not sure a couple of grains of sand would make that much difference to this guy. And here we go. Oh, it was easy. One of his best yet. And we get the biggest smile yet as well. In view of the fact Magnus has never done this event before today, he's done pretty well.
Well, can I call my height next?
And Bill trying to figure out his next move. It's level pegging all the way at the moment. 2 attempts are allowed at each height, but Magnus needs this one on his first to stay with Phil. Only just, it just rolled over. And Phil says, back to the drawing board. What now? 620 perhaps. 650. That is a massive increase. Phil has been taking part in these sort of events for years now in Highland Games, but the nearest Magnus has ever been to something like this is back on his farm chucking hay bales around. Now a big swing from Phil. Oh, that's his first failure. So it's down to Magnus. He really could take a big advantage here if he gets it at the first attempt. Unusual physique as Magnus. It's almost as though he's only done half of the Charles Atlas course. His legs are quite thin compared to the big muscles of his chest and shoulders. And of course, his very powerful arms. The wall well over 20 feet now. Oh, it nearly crept over just like the last one. So Phil relieved, and he goes again. And Magnus just asking Tristan what went wrong this time, and Phil Martin goes straight in. Oh, not this time, and just to prove he can move fast when he wants to, getting out of the way of that barrel. So Magnus is back, and this one now to win his 3rd event in a row. 99% of the time, this fella is very quiet, calm and relaxed. But put a physical challenge in his way, he turns into a competitive animal. That barrel, it's not that heavy, but it's awkward to swing and throw. Oh, yes! What a wonderful result for Samuelsson. And Phil says, well done. I wonder what would happen if he did take up Highland Games.
Against all expectation, the Swede Magnus Samuelsson has beaten world record holder Phil Martin from the USA to take yet another first place. Congratulated by his proud girlfriend Kristen, it seems there's no stopping him.
Magnus, congratulations. That was a fantastic performance. Now, you've done 3 events.
Yeah.
And you're first world's strongest man, and you've not been beaten yet. How does that make you feel?
Yeah, I'm surprised and happy, and very, of course, very pleased. Everything has gone really good for me so far.
1 event to go, then you're in the final. Have you had any thoughts about that yet?
No, I'm just kind of, you know, I'm happy I haven't got an injury. Survival once again. And when the finals start, all this is wiped out and it's new events, and it doesn't matter.
Again, the big American hits the nail on the head. But what about the performances of the Swede? They've been gutsy, full of passion, and of course, just that once, full of drama.
Competitors in this heat are each required to lift one up and carry it down a 30-metre course. Each machine weighs around 135 kilos, that's 21 stone, and the hardest part of this challenge is the enormous weight on the chest that the strong men have to bear.
Referee Dougie Edmonds, once again, making sure everything is ready. As Juliet said, the fastest time over the course wins. Magnus going well. Oh, he just seemed to lose his footing there a little bit. And his dream debut has had its first hiccup in the competition. Phil Martin carrying on. It looks as though he can collect 4 points. Down it goes. And Magnus has picked it up again. He may have forgotten the referee's instructions. Magnus Samuelsson is going to drop it over the line. Phil Martin seems to be a little bit confused. Samuelsson finishes, but it might be a wasted effort.
Well, in fact, competition rules state that the man who carries the machine the furthest without dropping it wins. So, contrary to initial impressions, it's Phil Martin who takes this event.
Now we got to finish 1-2 in the finals.
Yeah.
1-2. 1-2. 1-2. Something like that.
We shall have to wait and see, but what a week we've had. 2 men sidelined through some quite scary injuries, and 2 men whose challenge to become the world's strongest man is really just beginning.
Well, what an unfortunate heat for both Torfi Olafsson and for the Australian mega man Nathan Jones, who'd both trained so hard for this competition. But, as is often the case, their loss is someone else's gain. Phil Martin from America and Magnus Samuelsson from Sweden will now join 8 other strong men for next week's final. It's set to be a spectacular contest, which will show us who really is the strongest man in the world. I do hope you'll join us, but for now, from the Bahamas, it's goodbye.
In the world.